Hi, and thank you for joining us for another episode of BSPN. I'm Brandon Corey, your host, here with David Fixler and Josh Goldberg. And it's our first episode of the semester. We've missed a lot over winter break, but the Super Bowl, biggest sporting event of the year, and it was one heck of a game.
Yeah.
Falcons obviously got off to one heck of a start. Brady looked like a 39-year-old quarterback, and the picks of Robert Alford, the 28-3 lead that the Falcons got out to, it really looked like that game was over. And then that was one heck of a fourth quarter. You guys want to talk about that a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll start with Edelman's catch since
Edelman's catch, definitely
a huge pivotal play. Some would even compare it to David Tyree's catch for the Giants during the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it's definitely, I think in terms of momentum and the way the game was going, it really, the fact that the ball was tipped up by Alford when it was thrown by Brady, and then the fact that when Edelman dove for it, that he was able to catch it and then catch it in between like the legs of the defender. It was just insane.
The whole room was screaming at that play. Really crazy. At one point in the fourth quarter, Atlanta had a 99.6% chance of winning, according to ESPN at the time.
Wow.
So, I mean, that just shows you how great of a comeback this was. Do you guys think it was the greatest comeback? I think it was the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history, but in NFL history?
I don't really know the statistics well enough, but considering the circumstances, it might very well be
Yeah,
one of the
definitely
greatest.
considering the circumstances. Everything on the line,
The pressure.
and who else but Tom Brady? Super Bowl MVP, 466 yards, 2 touchdowns. Do you guys want to talk about some of the best performances I guess we saw in that game?
Definitely. I mean, it'd be hard not to talk about Brady, but you really have to give it up for the Patriots defense, I would say, especially being down 28-3, that can totally take out a lot of morale, from a team and just totally make them think, oh, this is over, there's no way we're going to come back. But the fact that they were able to keep the Falcons off the board from that point when they had 28 and then score, I think it was 31 in a row unanswered, shows how poised the defense was, and that they were able to stay confident even though they were trailing late in the game.
Against an offense as explosive as the Atlanta Falcons, too, Devontae Freeman was another guy who started off really hot.
Real good.
And then, the Patriots defense stepped up and locked him down. The guy I really want to talk about is Julio Jones, who 4 receptions for 87 yards. But I thought he was one of the best players on the field. He was double covered for most of, if not the whole game, and came up with some of the greatest catches that I've ever seen. I think it solidifies him as the best wide receiver in the NFL. I know there's a top tier of elite guys there. And just some of the toe taps that I saw Julio do just separated him above the rest. As good as Odell Beckham and Antonio Brown and A.J. Green are, there's just if I'm starting a team, there's no one I'd rather have than this monster who's able to come up with plays like that, like Julio
Best
Jones.
player on my fantasy team, no doubt.
James White, too, was another great player
really
for the
good
Patriots.
player.
Came down with the game-winning touchdown, 139 yards, 3 touchdowns. Do you guys think he maybe should have been in the conversation for Super Bowl MVP?
I definitely do. Tom Brady actually, mentioned that James White, maybe should have deserved it a little bit more than he did. I mean, yes, it's Tom Brady throwing it to him, sometimes, but it's also James White, the durability and the ability to just kind of like get in between those defenses and really get in the end zone was just incredible.
Absolutely. The way he just squeezed his way through like 3 different defenders to get that game-winning touchdown. You could definitely tell he wanted it. And he was among, I think, the best players that we saw that day. But now that it's all said and done, does this solidify Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time?
In my opinion, it does. I mean, for anybody, no matter who the quarterback was, Super Bowl in and of itself is a huge game just to play and just to win in terms of it being just a regular game. But the fact that he was down by that score, down by 25 points that late in the game, to be able to come back from such a deficit so great, especially with Tom Brady's age and the fact that he's not in this peak, like he wasn't as great as he was, let's say, when he was a bit younger, when he could move a little better, and maybe had a little more accuracy. The fact that he was still able to overcome this deficit and help the Patriots win in such a big game, and the biggest game, possibly of his career, I think that solidifies him as the best.
Yeah, and even looking beyond that, you mentioned maybe he didn't, he can't do some of the things that he was able to do earlier in his career, but I thought this year was one of, if not the best year for Tom Brady. I mean, 28 touchdowns and 2 interceptions is the best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history, and he was able to do that. How much does that say that the person who had that record before was Nick Foles? But, he did have an incredible season, and you can tell that, he's still able to play, and he's still going to be able to play for at least a couple more years. Do you think that decline's going to be sharp? I mean, if you think about Peyton Manning, he had what some people consider the best season for a quarterback ever when we set the touchdown record, and then it was a really quick decline. So do you see Brady maybe doing that?
I don't really think so. I mean, I think he's got something else, with him. It's not just, the ability and, the throwing ability. It's, the heart that he has that just kind of like it outperforms other quarterbacks. And I think, at the point where he realizes, I can't do it, not because of his heart, but his body is, really declining, he's just going to stop playing. And, I don't see it happening, within the next few years. I think he's got another 4 or 5 years left with him.
Yeah, I mean, is that definitely something to look out for? Just because of how fast that can happen, and you don't see many quarterbacks that age able to perform like Tom Brady did. But going beyond that, we have some local news. The Binghamton Senators are now the Binghamton Devils. So if you guys want to talk a little bit about that, how that whole process happened.
Ottawa, the Ottawa Senators, the NHL affiliate for Binghamton, they wanted to move their AHL team closer to home, so they moved them to Ottawa. And but Binghamton, the area, still wanted a hockey team, and there's still a very significant amount of people that go to the games. So Albany, or the New Jersey Devils, knowing that Albany, their AHL affiliate, wasn't doing that hot in attendance, they wanted it a little bit closer, and so they moved them down to Binghamton. And so that's basically it.
Yeah. As a local student, I kind of grew up with the Binghamton Senators, with the Binghamton Mets, seeing that all change. It's a little sad for me, but, I think, being in in the arena, the Veteran Memorial Arena, there's a big following around here. And I don't think it particularly matters if it's the Binghamton Senators or the Binghamton Devils. I think there is a following that will come out, and especially with college kids, I think it's definitely a fun thing to do. So, I think they will still find success. I think Binghamton was definitely the right choice as far as finding a new team for the Devils. So to finish the episode, let's start off with some game picks. Duke at Syracuse on next Wednesday. College basketball. What are you guys thinking?
So, I've been watching Syracuse games pretty avid, a lot this season, and Syracuse has done real well at home. John Gillen, their point guard, has done real well. He's really shown some heart, and Andrew White has been incredible. And I think, with the combination of the crowd that's bound to be, 30,000 plus, and the talent that Syracuse has shown, I think they pull off the upset.
Funny you say that. I think the home field advantage plays more for Syracuse a role than most other teams in the country, especially since they are on the tournament fringe right now. They need this win and then maybe one other win, and they're in. So I think they're going to be playing hard. They're going to be playing together, and they're going to have the will to win, which is why I'm taking Syracuse in this one. Josh?
I'm gonna have to go against you guys both right here. I'm gonna say that it's gonna be a pretty close game all the way to the end, and that in the game will be decided in the final couple of minutes, and that Duke will just kind of hold on a little longer and make a clutch shot near the end, and then end up winning by about one possession or two. But I think it will come down to the last couple of minutes.
Sounds exactly what we've seen in the past with Syracuse Duke games.
Cardiac group.
So definitely would not surprise me. But should be a great game to watch either way. Next game, Louisville UNC, also next Wednesday. What are you thinking, David?
Who's the home team in that match?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. So, tend to go to North Carolina, but Louisville also looked really good against Syracuse, and Syracuse has kind of shown, to be better lately. I think I'm going to give the edge to North Carolina, though. I think the home field advantage is going to really help, and I think they match up quite well against Louisville.
Always plays a big role, and I agree. North Carolina, I think, will take this game. I think Kennedy Meeks and Justin Jackson both had very
Both
nice
great
games.
players.
And the big thing that I saw against Louisville, the reason why Syracuse was even in that game was Louisville couldn't hit free throws. Towards the end of that game, they had a lead, and they just weren't able to hold them off. And it didn't come back to bite them in the end, but it definitely could have. And I think UNC is a very good free throw shooting team, and I think that's going to play a big role because I think it will be close. But free throws are definitely going to play a big role in this one for me.
Definitely. Yeah, I have to agree with both you guys in this one. I think UNC at home will. I think it'll be definitely a close matchup again, but I think that UNC will be able to win just given the home presence and the way they're playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we'll move away from the ACC a little bit. Louisville not in the ACC. Oh wait, Louisville is in the ACC, aren't they?
Yep.
They are now.
Mm-hmm.
So moving away from the ACC, let's go to the Pac-12. We have two, new Pac-12 powerhouses in UCLA and Arizona. They're playing next week. What are you guys thinking for that one?
I'm going to go with UCLA. I think, Arizona, I think, is about 26-3 or something like that. They only have about 3 losses, and I think, UCLA, they got something a little bit else with them. They're a young team. Lonzo Ball, one of the best players in the country again. He's really good, and I think they pull it out over Arizona. I think they're the better team.
I think from a talent perspective, I think you're right that UCLA is the better team, and I am picking UCLA. I think this is a big rebound year for the program.
Mm-hmm.
Having a guy like Lonzo Ball really helps with that. But Arizona is not a slouch. Ranked 5th in the country right now. It'll definitely be a tough game, but I think UCLA gets some big performances from some of their top guys, and I think UCLA takes it. Josh?
I think this will be another close game as with the other ones. I think Lonzo Ball is, carrying his team right now, and I think despite the challenge that UCLA will be facing, I think they'll be able to pull it off.
Definitely got some good games coming up next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking forward to watching them. But that's it for this episode, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. We'll be back hopefully next week with a new episode of BSPN. Thank you.